slide. So we're going to touch on a lot of different things. I thought a good way to start is to really provide you all with some of our background. So of course we come from the same family. We'll describe a little bit where we grew up, some of the challenges that we face, and then afterwards Jocelyn will talk about her experience at college, but also touch upon her high school experience. So both of us were really involved, like Mr. D said, and we can definitely talk more about that. And then afterwards, I'll touch more about my experience at UCLA, why I chose that school, what other schools I decided to apply, but what made me feel that UCLA was the right fit for me.
And then just to let you know, we have about 30 minutes, and then technically their next class starts at 8, so like 38 minutes technically, but 30,
Perfect.
about 30, just to let you know.
That's awesome. Thank you, Mr. D. All right, let's move on to the next slide. All right, so I think this really cute picture on the right, it's my mom. Her name is Vilma, and that little baby right there is our nephew. His name is Patton. So another addition to our family from my older sister's side of the family. She actually lives in Eureka, so we often don't get to see him a lot, but we try to go, I want to say like every 3 months, Jocelyn, to visit him. And he's just getting so cute every day. But as you can see, my mom is very happy in nature. But we wanted to really show this picture because my mom raised 3 girls by herself growing up. She came to the States when she was 21 from Honduras. And we did face a lot of challenges. It ranged from being very low income, very below the federal poverty line, housing instability. Oftentimes, it's interesting when people would ask me in college, like, oh, where'd you grow up? Like, I would always say, like, oh, I grew up in Montebello, but oftentimes, like, that meant moving around to Pico Rivera because sometimes we couldn't make ends meet, like paying for rent, since my mom worked, I want to say she worked 2 low income, like 2 minimum wage jobs, but that wasn't enough to raise 3 girls. So oftentimes that meant us moving around a lot, staying with family friends, facing food insecurity. So oftentimes we would actually depend on food pantries. So we were really thankful for that. And we really want to show this because oftentimes I at least for myself, and Jocelyn can probably chime in here, is I tend to be very reserved. So I felt like I couldn't share this with any of my teachers. I felt like this is something that we had to, sort of overcome and not ask for help. The help that we did ask for is like those family friends to like house us for like the summer because we couldn't stay somewhere else since we couldn't afford rent. But something to light up the sort of mood is a quote that my mom would always say, and she's a Spanish speaker. She speaks a little English, but something she would always enforce is education. Like education is a key to opportunities and will open doors for you. And that's something I always share with a lot of students that I mentor, because I do mentor high school girls in this like other organization that I'm part of. But it is true, sometimes we may think that where can life go? There's a lot of challenges, but knowing that you could overcome them, and there are people who did that and are here today. So that's something that I wanted to share in terms of background. Jocelyn, did you want to add anything else?
I think Mr. D said, I think we forget education isn't a chore, but a chance to change your life. That is very true. I mean, we experienced that even through like middle school, high school, but we always kept that sheltered. But I feel our background was a very strong statement to apply for a college application. That's why I feel a lot of people forget that they think it's all about academics, but it's the whole package. Like, what is your background? What did you do in high school? Did you help other organizations? And who you are as a person too? Why do you want to study the field that you're pursuing in the university, college, community college, in any sense. So I feel that's why we want to emphasize our background, because it is important. Until this day, it is very important. So yeah.
It's really interesting I always get to learn more about you guys and ladies when you come and speak. So I don't even remember if I knew you had an older sister. I vaguely remember, but I do remember your mom being very, very strong. And I remember, I think during your personal statement, we tend to learn a lot about you. How I remember thinking, well, like, wow, these girls were always helping other people, but they were also recipients of the help, and they weren't just taking, they were also giving back. And I've had a few students like that who've depended on like the Boys and Girls Scouts and other things, and then once they've made it, like they turn around and start giving back in such a big way. It's really nice to see. So let me go to the next slide. There's the mariachi.
Yeah. So that's a picture of the college mariachi. Funny thing that's I was part of the first group at San Diego State University to be part of the first mariachi. So I got a lot of opportunities to perform around the city of San Diego and of course at the college campus. But let me speak about a little bit of my high school experience. So I'm pretty sure Mr. D and my sister already emphasized that we always like to join different organization clubs. So the type of clubs that I was involved was Spanish, National Honor Society, yearbook for 2 years, orchestra. We started playing orchestra and mariachi since I think the age of 10 in 5th grade. And until this day, I still like it to, I still use it as a hobby more on the side. But during high school, I knew that I wanted to pursue law enforcement. So I did a little research and I actually joined the Explorer program. I'm not sure if anyone is aware, but the Explorer program is basically cadets, teenagers that are interested in pursuing law enforcement for the future, or if they want to volunteer at a police department. So part of the Explorer program is that you have to complete a 4-month academy, which is located at Whittier, part of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. Wait, I think I just recommended a kid for the sheriff. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's cool. So the Sheriff Explorer program really opened my eyes to like actually pursue law enforcement, and the different type of activities we would do in the academy was defensive tactics, criminal justice courses during the day, physical training, and we would do obstacle course and also attend a shooting range. So through like rigorous physical training, academic courses, we had to pass different type of examinations. And once you graduated the Explorer Academy, you got to volunteer at your designated police station that you picked. So mine was Pico Rivera Station, which is part of the LA Sheriff's Department. And as an explorer, I got to be involved in ride-alongs. Ride-alongs are basically you get to shadow the deputy officer and what they get to do or what they got to experience on a daily basis. We received calls, we attended the cause. We also did like different type of volunteer experience around the community. And also I got to participate in a little bit on sting operations. Sting operations is basically you go undercover with a cop, you enter a liquor store, and if the cashier proceeded to sell you the cigarettes without asking proper identification card, at the end of the transaction, the person will get cited. So I did that a few times, and that really opened my eyes that I really do want to pursue law enforcement. And therefore that led me to actually study criminal justice. So I picked San Diego State University. One is because I know for a fact that I wanted to move out of LA. I love LA. I wanted to move out of my house because I wanted to grow more independently. And as Mr. D said, we were always considered the twins. We were always together. If you will see one, you'll see like the other one on the next. So I felt like I wanted to grow as a person and like see what I am as a person. So that's why I picked San Diego. It's only like a 2-hour drive. It's not that far. And at San Diego State University, I studied criminal justice. Before going to the fall semester, I was admitted to a summer bridge program, part of the educational opportunity. And if you do have a summer bridge at your university college that you're trying to apply, I really encourage you to do so, because I met my closest friends at summer bridge, and I still until this day they're closest friends. That was a great opportunity for me to see the university before the fall semester. So I felt coming back to the fall, I already knew where certain buildings were. I kind of knew the city a little bit, so it wasn't that much of a shock when I returned to the fall semester. Excuse me. So during the college experience, okay. So during the college experience, I did join like different clubs as well. I was in mariachi. I also did American Sign Language Club. So the sign language was something that I did because I actually did that as a foreign language in part of high school. So me and Joanna would go attend community college after classes 2 times out of the week. And that really grew interest in me to learn sign language. And I feel like the deaf and hard of hearing community is very underrepresented, and a lot of people don't know that you could actually go and study that. So I continued to attend those type of clubs. And besides that, I did different type of internships. So the internship that led me to pursue my master's was I was investigative intern for the public defender's office, in which I served subpoena to police officers, to witness. I translated between witness and investigators because a lot of these people didn't knew Spanish, so I was like the translator for the office. And I did a lot of social media research and based on witness credibility. So I would go to different types of social media platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Now we have TikTok. So like these social media platforms keep growing, and I would actually research and see, yes, I would research what type of information we could use in part of our defense attorneys. And in my senior year in college, undergraduate, I also had the opportunity to be a community service officer for the University Police Department. So it's basically a student entry level position in which I got to foot patrol around the university and report any suspicious activity. So this was a little of a college experience that I got to see firsthand, and that really led me to pursue my master's degree in Homeland Security. And in Homeland Security, I got to network a lot, and I got to attend different types of conferences that is correlated to the study. So that's a little bit of what I did in college and in high school. I still live in San Diego. I'm currently a coordinator for the university contracts department, and I'm still applying for a federal law enforcement position. So, yeah.
What does Homeland Security kind of do? And it seems like you just mentioned it's a federal job. And then I would just have one other question is, did you feel any like pushback going into law enforcement or criminal justice being a female? Or did you feel any like, that you were maybe picked on or treated differently?
So for certain, even in the in the Explorer program, I saw that women were very underrepresented. Also, more specifically Latina women, Hispanic. So I didn't really see my kind, but that actually motivated me to actually still pursue this. And Homeland Security, there's a different types of miscellaneous job that goes along with Homeland Security. There's FEMA, emergency management. Emergency management is if a hurricane happens, FEMA is the first responders to do that. So there's different type of branches that Homeland Security represents. But more is part of the government. So that's what I'm pursuing in federal law enforcement. So, but
Thank
yeah, it
you.
was even in the Homeland Security program, I didn't see a lot of my kind. I saw a lot of Caucasian male men. Until this day that I'm applying, it's still very heavily on male representation because I do not see a lot of women. But then again, I do get a little intimidated because that's me. I'm a little reserved, but I feel that right now, especially right now, because of what's happening with the police and stuff like that, I feel like we still have to have valid representation and people like me that I understand what the community has, what is going through. So that's one of the reasons why I'm still pursuing this career. But yeah, it's a very underrepresented part of my um, ethnicity.
I think your mom is showing, and you all are showing, women have way more strength than people give them credit for. They have this really, really strong drive and resilience and ability to just keep going. And so I'm glad that, I think not only is it great that you are being one of the representatives of your gender, of your culture, but also I think as we open our minds in the country, I think more and more opportunities will come. Maybe that I think that more females will be sought out, I hope, and we'll have more of a balance in how things are running.
Yes, yes, I do agree with that. And hopefully we do have a lot of youth generations trying to pursue this because we are in need, especially in this type of field too. So yeah, even right now at a position that I'm trying to apply. Oh, and that's a couple of photos that I like to take in
Oops,
San Diego.
it's going back. It's, hold on. It's going
Yeah,
too far forward. There I was. It started going forward. I was gonna ask you if you wanted me to move, and it started moving on its own.
it's okay. Yeah, and as a hobby, still I like to go hiking in San Diego. There's different type of trails, and I really fell in love with nature. So it's pretty neat because you get the ocean, you get the mountains, and you get like a very different taste of San Diego, you can say. But yes, yeah, Joanna says self-care is very important. Yeah, that's my way of venting out too, hiking, going out on trails. Right now, unfortunately, because due to the pandemic, I'm not really as active going to trails, but I still like to enjoy it every so often.
Awesome. Should I go to the next slide or?
Joanna, start off already.
Right. It's always nice to hear Jocelyn because yeah, I want to say like this is the chance whenever we do come together like the both of us and really share our interests and how it's different, but we're still twins. But during the process, like she was always a great support system, and I was a great support system for her as well. So I feel like that resonates with me a lot. But to touch on some of my experience, so Jocelyn did talk a lot about her experience, and we did a lot of the same activities during high school. So we were both violinists. We played the violin. We joined. We went to Montebello, Montebello Intermediate (MY), and started off in 5th grade. So I want to say it was Jocelyn who motivated me to join the mariachi band because my teacher never told me about it. And so I just went with her one day, like Monday after school, and it was actually a pretty rigorous like practice. Like I want to say like every Monday, weekly Mondays, we would have like 2-3 hour practice sessions. We would start off with violinists, like your own like instrument section, and then convene together at the end because we were trying to like practice for like an upcoming concert or like holidays and whatnot. It was very unfortunate that that the MUSD Mariachi, I want to say it canceled our junior year of high school, if I'm not mistaken, due to funding. But hopefully that gets up and running maybe in the near future because it was a really great experience and something that motivated me to also join in college. But to add on to that, I was part of the Avid Club, Spanish Club, Lions Club, community service during holidays. So like as Mr. D touched upon, we would volunteer on Quiet Canyon. So we would give out like food to family. We would also go to the senior center here in Montebello to give out Thanksgiving dinner to the families of Montebello. So that was just a way for us to really stay active. I want to say, like, as we got more active, we really wanted to take on more leadership positions. So that's maybe something that you might want to think about. Like, as you engage more with this club, is there somewhere that you would like to grow on individually, right? So a leadership position that I took up was in orchestra. I was secretary, so I would just like take attendance, but it was great because it practiced on my public speaking skills. I was always the introvert and still am, but it has taught me to like how to step away from like my comfort zone. So I would really recommend that if there's a club that you've been pretty active on, you're already doing like a lot of hours, why not take a leadership position for you to even grow more individually? And it's something that will benefit you in college because um, if you decide to apply for like a part-time job during college, they would ask like what leadership positions were you involved in high school so that we can offer you this role. Another internship that I kind of want to backtrack. So I didn't do this chronologically, but I think a good way for me to sort of start off why I got intrigued with medicine was personal. So it was my mom, it was in 8th grade that she had a back injury. So that meant that she had, let's say, like 3 injured discs on her lower spine. And that led her to be in disability for quite some time. So I would take her to like doctor's appointments. I would translate. I would be that translator for my mom. I would try my best filling out those forms so that she can um, continue to be on disability because physically she was not able to move. So I was the main caretaker along with my sisters during that time. So we would help her get up from the couch, with her bathing, with her positioning. So all that we learned from like a very small age. So that's something that really intrigued me, medicine, especially when I would be translating. I would be looking at these doctors like, why don't they speak Spanish? Why don't they speak the same language? Like, why don't I see more of my kind in that level? So that's something that motivated me to enter into the field of medicine on the personal level. Afterwards, I decided to research more on like how I can be exposed more to the different fields of medicine. So that's when I found this internship. I want to say it still exists. I haven't researched currently, but it's called the Eve and Jean Black Medical Summer Internship. It's geared more towards like seniors and juniors of their summer so that they can be hosted at this different hospitals. So I was lucky enough to be hosted at UCLA, and it was interesting because they only took like 2 people, and they took me and this other girl who went in high school in Glendale. But it was an amazing experience because I was able to shadow different physicians, ranging from emergency department, going to pediatrics, also shadowing family medicine doctors. And it was a really great experience, to be honest. And that motivated me to even be more involved in like the clinical medical routes. So during my last 2 years of high school, I ended up volunteering at Beverly Hospital at their medical records department to start off. And then after I went to emergency department. So I really wanted to share that out because sometimes a lot of our interests may come out from like personal experience. And for me, it was my mom that sparked my interest in medicine. And then that sort of made me look into other programs like Jocelyn did. Like she went to like the Sheriff's Explore program during high school. I ended up going like the medical route. Um, and during senior year, I ended up applying. I took advantage of like the free waiver program. So I did apply to 4 Cal States, 4 UCs, and then I did apply to USC. I didn't get accepted, but it's totally fine because I did visit a USC. It was for like a informational session, but when I entered the campus, it didn't for me, it didn't feel like it was very welcoming for me, right? Every experience is different, but that's why it's great that you all get to visit these colleges to really see if you can imagine yourself being in those lecture halls, walking to your class. So yeah, I agree, Mr. D. Being involved really does pay off. Yes. And let's see. Oh yeah, in my senior year, I applied for the Dell scholarship. So as a plug, it's open right now. I want to say the deadline's December 15. So if you are eligible, I want to say everyone here is eligible, I'm assuming, to really apply for the Dell scholarship. I ended up applying for that. I want to say it was Mr. D that told us about all these amazing scholarships coming up our senior year. So Jocelyn and I, we went crazy on scholarships. For the Dell scholarship, yes, so you apply your senior year and it's a 4-year scholarship. So it does follow you on whatever university you want to go from freshman to senior year. So it's a $20,000 scholarship that's provided to you for those 4-year, sometimes people do 5 years. Oh, okay. That's good. I didn't know that, Mr. D.
Yeah, I believe they raised the amount, but I'm not
That's
positive.
amazing. Yeah. No, that's even,
You know,
raise the amount.
just to encourage you all, you know, when you're a senior, is
yeah.
sometimes we get lazy or we doubt ourselves, but we've had students win the Dell, the Walmart scholarship, aerospace engineering scholarship, another 25,000 for first generation those who are AB 540 who don't have a social security. So, you know, the opportunities are there, but it seems like even in all these internships, there's opportunities, but do we go find them and to go look for them and go apply to them? And I think that's the key, is getting out there and getting the applications out to these things.
Yes.
It just seems like you ladies were just so involved. Looking back, it's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. It really comes to sort of like reflect on where you started and where you are. So I agree. But yeah, so for those sophomores, really thinking of ways of how you can get more involved in your community, more involved in your school. Is there, like what Jocelyn said, like something that you're passionate about, and something that you want to pursue, right? And to those students who are like unsure, it's just trying. You never know until you really get yourself out there and volunteer, and you won't know, like you might be really surprised what you really fall in love with, whether it be volunteering or other professions. So it really just means trying.
Okay,
Okay,
so we have
perfect.
about 5 minutes.
All right. So the last 2 pictures, this is just my graduation, and I was still involved during college. So I was heavily involved with this mentoring organization at UCLA called Mente. They're still there. And then the next picture, let's see. Yeah, so the next picture on the left is more of Mente. I was heavily involved with like giving college tours, Cal State Long Beach, and then the middle is mariachi. So I joined mariachi like my sister at UCLA. It's called Uklatlan. And then on the far right side is when I joined my first full-time job after college called Health Leads. And I really just want to highlight them because I worked there for 3 years. And it taught me so much about healthcare systems, the importance of whole patient care, and addressing different ways of how we can look into medicine. So those are the pictures, but we're really looking forward to any questions that you may have.
I have one about public health. What do you generally do in your job day to day? Because there seems, when you gave us that list of all the different careers with public health, was it you were saying you were working more with the hospitals or organizing things, or what aspect?
The webinar, I think maybe, was this referring to the webinar that I sent you, Mr. D, the different careers in public health?
Yeah, well, I think there was a PDF, like a PDF link too with 25 careers or something.
Oh, okay.
I forget. Or no, you know what it was? I looked up a video on YouTube. That's what it was. We shared it.
Okay. No worries. Honestly, public health is a really great field to get into. Um, a lot of doctors that I know end up dual degreeing, so they get their MD and then they get their MPH. Um, so it offers a variety array of experience, whether it be how we can improve on the health outcomes for the community. So like right now what I work at is at Alta Med Health Services. So you probably have seen a lot of Alta Meds here in LA. I work the one here in East LA by Goodrich across Starbucks. But I tend to look at data and working with doctors to see how we can improve the measures in our department. So I work in the HIV department.
So I think it's really good to know that there's a lot of other options besides in
Oh
medicine,
yeah.
besides just being a doctor. We think of just like a medical doctor, and same with criminal justice and homeland security. Like there's many, many other areas and things that are related that we don't always think. We kind of think of law enforcement, either a social worker or a police person, a police woman
Yeah.
or policeman. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot more out there, and the more you get involved, I think the more we learn about it. So Desiree had a good question. What advice do you give for students struggling to kind of put themselves out there?
That's actually a good question because even in high school, I was a very shy student. Um, so even for me to put myself out there and researching in the internet what type of volunteer opportunities there was in law enforcement, and that's how I found the Explorer program. It was a really hard for me to do because to speak to a cop, that's already intimidated by itself. And I felt that I needed to get myself out there because that's the only way I'm gonna learn. And I have to, branch out a little bit and get out of my comfort zone because sometimes we're so coped into our own little circle to like be on our own little, like I want to go with my friend and this and that. I feel out of place if I don't have a friend beside me and volunteer. You just have to, make that step because I feel like it will be a rewarding experience. And who knows, you'll probably find something that you're really passionate about and you want to pursue in the future. So it's very hard for a person, especially for an introvert person to do, but you just have to take that risk or have to take that, comfort zone out of your way. So you'll eventually learn that in college, especially when you see a lot of people that, for me, I didn't see a lot of people that did not look like me. So that was already, an experience itself. So yeah, that's what I have to say for that question.
Sometimes it just helps to have a friend and be like, let's go, or
I was gonna
you
say
Or that
that
too.
go with
right
me.
now. Yeah.
Fine,
Yeah.
go find a twin.
Yeah, unfortunately, my Joanna wasn't interested in that, so that's why I was like, okay, I was left alone and stuff like that. Even my friends, like,
And
no,
you'll meet
we're not
people
interested.
there. You'll definitely meet people wherever you volunteer. Like I agree with Sudi with like those volunteer opportunities that you can go with like your high school friend. Yes, that works out perfect. And then those times where like your friend probably does not have like the same career passions as you, right? So really just going to the event and you'll meet people definitely. You're
Oh,
not the only one who feels like that, and I think that's sometimes that um I always hear this thing like fake it until you make it kind of thing. So it has helped me a lot in a lot of different circles where like the picture that I have on the right, that was actually in Boston. So I didn't know anyone there. I was in I was doing like an onboarding and for like that organization that I talked about, Health Leads, for like 3 years. I didn't know anyone there, but I ended up meeting these amazing people, diverse, right? Very diverse. So you would never know until you really try. And people are nice. You know, some people you get to kind of wing at like who you can sort of be a friend with and who can really provide that advice. So
so
I
another question is, how did I join the Explorer? A student asked. So there is basically all the LA Sheriff's departments have their Explorer program, even Montebello Police Department. So you go to these stations, you fill out the application, you get to meet the advisor, and they'll tell you when is the next academy date. There's only two academy days. So there's the fall and the spring. I'm not precisely sure how they're doing right now because of the pandemic. I'm not sure what the liabilities are because of that, but I'm pretty sure they still have active explorers, and it's not hard to like ask to go to a police department and see what the process is like. So that's how I found out.
Oh wow, you studied abroad for 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
I thought
Oh,
a
yeah.
student said that. I was like, a student already studying abroad? What the heck? That's great. So those
Juliana
of you who, yeah, while you read Juliana's question, Joanna talked about study abroad in the chat. Those of you not reading the chat, and that means that you go live in that country and you go to school there. It's a very interesting experience. So she did it in England.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I was very shy too. Like you said, I think a lot of people feel that way, and then you just go. There tends to be people who are like want to help you feel included, and you tend to make friends pretty quickly. Any other question you were going to ask about the mom being supportive, Liliana? Was your mom's pretty supportive?
Very supportive. She really, what she always said is like, just, go get your degree. She never, it's interesting because even during our senior year, she didn't understand the process, right? She just understood that there was programs in high school. Like she knew about Avid, that they were helping us to like apply. So I was very, very appreciative of that. And even when I said I wanted to pursue medicine, she was supportive. And also with Jocelyn's like passion for law enforcement.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's still supportive until this day. So
yeah, she felt supportive still until this day. She just wanted us to just be someone and making like helping our community. So I think that was the key things. Like she wasn't telling us what to do exactly, what to pursue, because I know in some cases, parents could be like, oh, you should pursue this. It's a high paying job and this and that. That could be a little bit of influence. But I feel my mom was very supportive in whatever career you are doing. It's very important to still help out. So yeah, she was very supportive.
Let's see if anybody has any last questions. If you need to go, I know the next class is starting in a minute or two, but maybe you want to put a little thank you in the chat. And I'm sure if you have questions, you can email me. I could send it to the girls, to the women. They're not girls anymore. Diego, those will be, you could post them on the Google class. But if anybody has any other questions, we have like a minute. Thank you very much for coming to speak and sharing kind of how you got to where you are and letting the students know like there's so much they could do they don't realize. I think they can get involved, they can try new things, they don't have to be afraid. But we all have a lot of abilities. We don't really always believe it when we're younger. I know I didn't. A lot of thank yous. And no last questions? Is there any more slides? I didn't look. Oh, there you go.
Contact information.
Okay, and if you need that later, I can send it to you, or if you wanted to write it down. But thank you very much. Any last words or anything you want to say?
Oh, just like last minute words, there's try different ways of engaging in your high school, and yeah, just keep continuing to do what you do and don't doubt yourself, because there's a lot of other people who may doubt themselves, but as long as you're trying along the way. Jocelyn?
And also what I learned in college is that you might feel like a little bit, for me at least, out of place, but just give it a try. It's going to be fine. You're going to survive. And there's also going to be individuals like upper counselors that they're going to contradict what you want to study, and you just have to face those type of challenges and know that you could do it, because other people, even in those type of positions, unfortunately in the university, they'll tell you, oh, are you sure, type of doubt in yourself. But always try to overcome that, because there's always going to be people like that in your life, but we just have to know that we can do it.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I know they're technically starting their next class, so thank you all for staying. Go to your class. I'm sorry you're late. Have a good day. Thank you, ladies. Will I be able to see you at 8:40? Or
yeah.
Okay, I'll see you in 40 minutes, I guess. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Girls are awesome.